Welcome to another episode of The Basement. So I'm going to let my inner cheapskate take the best of me in this episode. So I've got these crappy cymbals hanging on my wall here as decoration, and I want to get rid of them. I want to get rid of the cymbals, but also I want to make room to hang my baritone guitar. I'm sick of it being on the floor in a floor-mounted stand, so I want to hang it on the wall. So earlier this month I was ordering some stuff on Amazon, and I was like, man, I really don't want to drop $20 on a matching guitar hanger like the ones I have my 4 bass guitars on. I was like, you know what, there's got to be a better way to do it. So I got on YouTube and I saw a couple videos on homemade wall mount guitar hangers, and I really didn't like any of them. There was a couple good ones. Guns and Guitars had a good idea using a 2x4 and a hook from like Harbor Freight that you could buy, and that seemed to really work well. I liked his design, and I want to do it completely out of wood though. So that's exactly what we're going to do on this episode of The Basement. So let's get to it. Alright, so as you can see, I've been stockpiling a bunch of reclaimed pallet wood over the last few weeks, and that's what I'm going to use to build this wall mount hanger from. I've got some oak that I'm going to use. I've got some 2" by 3" oak beams. I've got some short segments over here that I'm probably going to be using for this wall mount hanger. So I've also got a ton of other projects in store on the channel for this wood. I'm going to build acoustic panels for the basement studio. I've got a whole nother room in the basement that I want to set up as my workshop going forward to some of these build videos. So I'm going to make a Rubo style workbench out of some of this wood and some other goodies too. So first project I'm going to make out of this wood for the channel is going to be that wall mount hanger. So I've got to make a decision. I'm thinking the 2x6" oak. So let's pick an interesting piece and get started. Alright, so the idea is now to rip it in half this way. So one part of that will be the back that bolts up against the wall, and the other part I'll carve the slingshot out of to actually hang the guitar in, and it'll kind of screw to it from the back side. At least that's the design plan. So this is not really working out very well for me. I'm going to have to figure out a way to clean this up. Alright, so I got my 2 blocks of wood. Before I start tracing out the shape of the, I don't know what you want to call it, the slingshot that I'm going to use for the actual guitar to hang from, I need to go measure the nut width on the headstock of the guitar, toward the headstock of the guitar, to make sure that whatever I carve is going to be wide enough to support that. Alright, so that's essentially going to be the shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this down or put this in my vise and cut this out with a jigsaw, and then I'm going to take it to the belt sander and start shaping it. Well, looks like I split this. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to either start this piece over or glue and pin it. I'm going to try and glue and pin it because the split's not that bad, but then again, I don't want to have a guitar fall. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue and pin it. So I didn't find any dowels, but I did find some wooden golf tees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a drill bit just slightly bigger than the golf tees. Drill down through the crack. Put glue in those holes, and on the golf tee rather. Pound the golf tee in, saw off the excess, and it's going to leave me a wood pinned fit. Alright, so there's the pins. So before I do any more shaping and fine carving, I'm going to have to put this in the vise overnight, let it dry, and it should be good to go. It should be nice and stable and strong. And it's got a little bit more character. So All right, so I think I know what I'm going to do for the base plate of this guitar wall mount hanger. So this base plate is going to go into the wall, and then this hook is going to get screwed in from the back side to this base plate. But I want to do something cool to the base plate. So I figured I'd take, for some reason I have a tendency to save my old bass strings. I think at some point I'm going to do a video comparing brand new bass strings to old bass strings to boiled bass strings that are old to see how they work. I know some other folks have done that, but what I want to do with these strings is I want to make an inlay going around the perimeter of this block of wood. I think it'll be kind of a cool touch to it. Alright, so this is where I start to run into trouble getting the glue to actually do its job. If I had to do this over again, I absolutely would have used 24-hour epoxy and used another block of wood to clamp it and press it in using the vise and let it sit overnight. The super glue didn't really work very well, but my stubborn self just kind of forced it to work, so that's what I ended up doing. watching. I've got several more build episodes in the works. Wait for a couple of moving pieces to fall into place, and then I can start something really, really big that I'm super excited about. So until then, thanks again for watching. This is Brian hanging out with you down in the basement.